Hey guys, what's up? I'm Corn Gowwood, also known as the Urban Redneck as of now. Got a little name change there, thought that'd be a little cool name, the Urban Redneck. Today I want to talk about 3D printers. You're going to have to listen to some flute playing because, well, I'm around that all the time. My mom is a flute player. Hear that? Okay. Anyways, 3D printing. I want to talk about my opinion on it, and before you get all angry if you love 3D printers, just watch this video and take it with a grain of salt, because this is my opinion, and you may have a different opinion, and that's okay, but today I'm going to talk to you about my opinion. So, what I think of 3D printers. Well, I went to a 3D printer class, so I know about them, and I can talk about them. I've used them before. 3D printers, now there are a couple types of 3D printers. I'm not an expert on them, but I know there are the type that, well, today we'll be talking about the type that extrudes plastic. Simply just extrudes, it's like a hot glue gun. Let me get my hot glue gun. It's basically has a filament at the end. It heats up that filament, which is exactly what this does, and extrudes it and makes a shape on a table and slowly builds it up. And yes, very slowly. And then there's the kind that actually is a metal powder and uses lasers to fuse the metal together. And those are cool because it uses metal, and I'm not sure what kind of metal, maybe steel or something. That's very cool, it fuses it together, but those are obviously very expensive. Not many people own them. And yeah, just too much. And then there's the types of 3D printers that actually print body parts, like we'll print skin tissue and hearts and organs, all these body parts. But again, I don't know much about them. And again, they're really damn expensive. So yeah. So today we're going to be talking about the types that simply extrude plastic. Now 3D printers are modeling devices. They use a computer program, and from that computer program you have a model. It's usually CAD software. You have a model, and you put that onto the computer and onto the 3D printing software, and then from there it prints that out. And it's basically a CNC machine. CNC stands for something here, right here, and oh, hi puppy. And so it means that it's a computer software. And chances are you've heard of a 3D printer and not a mill or a lathe. Which I don't have one here, but this is a drill press. We'll talk about this later. 3D printers are very popular, okay? Everyone's, I think, heard of them. I know I have for many years, and they got really popular a couple years ago. But they've been around for a while. I don't know how long, but for a long time. And they're, to me, they're overrated, okay? Because they just extrude plastic. As of now, I mean, there might be, I know that sometime in the future there's going to be, maybe a 3D printer is going to be all you need. It'll make anything. But a 3D printer is simply a thing to make models. If I want to make a model of a car, say I want to make a model of a Ferrari Italia, I can go into my CAD software. It'll print all the details of the car or anything you wish to model. But the problem is with 3D printers, if you are printing something, I'll use some foam as an example. If you are printing something and you're printing up onto the table, it's slowly printing up. You cannot have overhang. If you did this, this hot plastic would slowly sag and just fall. And so, yeah, that's a huge problem. And I went to this 3D printing class, and they called 3D printing additive manufacturing, which is one of the silliest things I've ever heard, because she was saying it was much more green way of printing. And it, because milling is subtractive manufacturing. Okay, subtractive. Because it's taking away material from a block of whatever material, brass or whatever. And that's subtractive manufacturing. Oh, subtractive manufacturing. Oh, that's horrible stuff. You can't do anything with that. 3D printing, however, you can make plastic models with it. She was talking about all the great things. And this, here in Houston, there's a 3D printing class. I'm not going to mention if the person is watching. I don't want to offend them. But it is in Houston, and they were talking about, I actually went to 2 different places, and they were talking about how great this type of manufacturing is, 3D printing. Yes, I know, Rufus. And they were talking about, it's just so, it was quite annoying, because I was talking about how, you know, I'd like to have a mill someday. I was telling her about what my future shop I want it to be, and I want a mill and a lathe. And then she started talking to me about all the problems with those tools, like how horrible they are. Like, she was making them sound like they were just terrible devices, mills and lathes. And chances are you haven't heard of a mill, and unless, you know, I don't know, if probably more people have heard of 3D printers than mills. I think, to me, 3D printers are run off of computers, and you can have them in your home. They're very easy. Well, to me they're not, because you have to have some computer knowledge, which I don't have. I like working out in a shop. I like using my hands for, you know, making stuff. But to me, people that really, you know, computer geeks seem to love computers, 3D printers for making stuff, which, again, you can't make that much stuff with them because it's damn plastic you're printing. Now, the one thing you can do to turn this stuff into metal is metal cast. I'm familiar with that. In fact, I just got a new crucible, which is actually just a propane tank, and I'll be melting some metal later today. And you can lost foam or lost 3D print model aluminum or whatever metal you wish, and pour it into that little plastic model you made, and turn it into metal, which is pretty cool. And again, you cannot print moving parts that will be moving on a 3D printer, because this is a plastic filament, and you can't make an axle or bearings, and it just won't work, you know. You can't even, I don't think this stuff is watertight either. I think water would just leak right through. I could be wrong. In fact, I have a 3D model right here. I'll be right back. I'll show you it. Okay, so here's my thing I printed out. It's pink. I chose pink because pink is awesome, of course. So this is, if you can't tell already, which you probably can't, this is a teeny little rocket. I don't know how to demonstrate. Okay, it's with the size of my hand, okay? Very small. If you take my micrometer, you can measure how big this sucker is. Very, very small. And it was interesting. Yeah, that's pretty small. And it basically, there's layers. You can hear, if you can, well, let me take something and rub it up against. Those are layers, because the filament, it is very amazing, because the extruder goes around and slowly fills, layers, all this plastic. But see, I can blow air through it. So it's not airtight or watertight, unfortunately, so you can't make a cup or something out of it, which would be awesome, because wouldn't that be great? Make your own cups. So yeah, and this took, I believe, how long did this take? This took probably 15 minutes to make. This thing is freaking tiny and not very useful. It's just a little model rocket. So the teacher was talking about how this 3D printing technique, additive manufacturing, which drove me crazy, was so useful, and how manufacturing is going to be so great with it. Well, if you want to make a decently sized object, which to me decent size is this as far as 3D printing goes, of course, it would take hours, especially if it's thick. Say, I don't know what you could make that is fireproof, that would actually run, or anything. I don't know, you can make maybe a little model, or a case to put electronics in, like if you're working on some sort of game, you could make a 3D print a case. That would be pretty cool. So she was talking about how that would make, you know, good manufacturing. Well, if you want to make something like that, that's going to take hours, an hour, say, but it does, 3D printing can take hours. So that's not very efficient when it comes to manufacturing, at least mass production, because mass production manufacturing uses molds. It takes molds, it shoots plastic, molten plastic, and it hardens in, I don't know, under a minute, and then it's off on the production line. It's off the, it's back on the line. So it only takes a couple seconds to shoot extrude plastic into a mold quickly that is pre-built, then slowly additive manufacture a little mold, which would take, I don't know, 45 minutes or something. So basically my point is 3D printing is not, can be, it's over, so basically my point is, to me 3D printing is overrated as of now. Maybe it'll get better, of course, and 3D printing it's not my cup of tea because I don't like working with electronics. It's just not my thing. I like welding, and if you want to make something, buy yourself a welder. Buy yourself a drill press. This is a drill press. And and in case you don't know what a mill is kind of like a drill press, except it takes drill bits called collets. And what they can do is they can cut up and down, left and right, and this way. So it can cut in three dimensions. So it's kind of like a 3D printer in reverse. It's cutting away the material, which could be wood, metal, plastic, rubber, whatever. So you have much more of a choice there. As 3D printing, you can only use this corn-made plastic that's not going to be that useful. So, yeah, if you want to build something, if you want to make an engine, if you want to build a Stirling engine, buy yourself a mill, get some tools, get yourself a vise, because you can do a lot with those. Get a drill, and just start building stuff. You don't need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on a 3D printer, which you're going to end up with something that can't really do anything. And so yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Don't be angry at my opinion, because I know a lot of people have been lately on old videos like Top 4 Worst Nerf Guns. But yeah, thanks for watching. Alright, I want to talk about a little more of that story of the 3D printing class I went to. So the person there teaching was, I said, they had some model that they 3D printed. It was just a piece of art. It was a demonstration. It was like loops going all through each other. It was pretty cool looking. And then she said, someone asked, "Oh, what is that? That's cool." And actually my friend's dad asked that. And she said, "Oh yeah, you can't do that with a mill." So that was pretty rude, if you ask me. I mean, she just like immediately said, "You can't do that with a mill," knowing that she said it to me. Is kind of passive aggressive, if you ask me. So anyways, kind of a bad experience there. And also, when we entered, we went to the wrong place. We went to this place where they had actual tools, like TIG welders, mills, lathes, drills, all these drill presses, English wheels, all these cool machines that can make stuff. And it's not additive. Yeah, we went there, and the person was really nice. They introduced us, and then they said, "Oh, this isn't the 3D printing class," because I was here for the 3D printing class. "Oh, you got to go over here." So we went to this other building not far from there, and then we walked in, and I saw there are a bunch of people with, you know, their laptops, their coffee, and they looked, as we entered the building, they looked at us like we were like out of place and just complete idiots, and they were looking at us like they're just kind of rude, pretty rude. And then we went to the actual class, and yeah, I still got the same vibe. So really not a nice vibe of that place. Oh well. Also, I want to show you guys some of my tools I have. If you're new to my channel or not, I just want to show you some of my tools. If you want to make stuff, and there's my pickup truck, beautiful pickup truck. Really handsome looking. Anyways, going all the way over here, we have an old Delta saw. This was my grandfather's. I'm not sure what year it is, but pretty old. I think before I was born. And here's it's a table saw blade. Table saw, I'm going to be explaining. You basically can cut long boards into strips, and it's a very useful tool. And here's my little table grinder. And with this, you can take a piece of steel and grind, or wood. Very useful tool because it'll grind stuff really fast. Table saw. And here's my miter saw. You may have seen the review. If you haven't seen the review, you can click here. I appreciate if go watch it. Check it out. It's a great little saw. Was a little over 100. It's like $102. And yeah, it just works great. And miter saw, basically you can cut long pieces of wood, and I mean, just it's very safe to use because it has this cover there. Great must-have tool. I haven't bolted it down. Over here we have my brand new, I haven't showed you this on YouTube, my brand new foam cutter. That's my old foam cutter. If we look over here real fast, this thing was huge. This is actually rebuilt from this guy I was an intern for. He basically had this, and it's pretty hard to use. It can cut long, big pieces of foam. He actually cut this big piece of foam. I think he lost foam casted something, and cut this big piece of foam and model. And I basically put legs. It's pretty horrible. I might be giving it, I may rebuild it for him and give it to him if he wants, because it just doesn't fit my needs. And this is actually another alternate of 3D printing, because you can take a piece of foam like this, and you basically cut the foam, and it heats up, and it'll cut this foam. And you can hot glue it, and you can, you know, cut the piece of foam off. If, say you have a piece of foam, so you can hot glue this piece of foam here. You can make your own 3D model. So this is, to me, this is kind of my 3D printer. It's not additive, but it does the job. Much faster than a 3D printer too, and cheaper. Here's my Hitachi drill. If you haven't seen the review, you can check it out right here. And I haven't done a review on this. This is my little driver. Propane torch. Such a useful tool for average burning. Back there is a transformer. I was gonna make my own stick welder, but I don't know a lot of electronics, so I could probably kill myself if I don't know what I'm doing. This is a home-built shop table, and I noticed there's just a snail there. There's some pretty crappy welds I did. I just realized how to weld. I mean, just look at these, they're horrible. But it tends to hold up. I'm probably going to be reinforcing it. This is homemade. If you want to see the video, check right here. And this is a little table vise. This vise is good for, really, if you need to hold something, it's great. There's nothing better. This is a 1960 drill press from Delta, not made in Taiwan, but it's a Pittsburgh company. My dad's used to live in Pittsburgh as a kid. My old fan, it's a, what is it? It's a Galaxy, if those of you fan lovers. Some random crap here. And this is an old table that I built back when I couldn't weld. This is my welder. It's a flux core welder. I like to Ironton, or I like to say Flux Corrington welder. And a recycling bin. Good to have those. Need a recycling bin. If you don't recycle, just throwing everything out is just a huge waste. This is what I power my foam cutters with. And here's when we rearrange the shop, this is some crap that's left over. This thing here is thing to pull trailers with my bike, which never worked, so probably will be disassembling that, welded it up. And yeah, turbine blade, tried to make a jet engine, didn't work out. Maybe trying that again in the future. So yeah, I'm trying to buy a lathe and some mill and a mill. I'm just trying to build this shop up. And there's Winona. But yeah, I'll give you updates on the shop, and hopefully it'll get better as time goes on. This is a hacksaw, another very useful thing. My solder flux. And my propane torch for killing weeds. My mom actually bought it for burning weeds. It doesn't do a great job. It's not that great, but I use it for the metal foundry, so it's perfect for that. It's very clean burning too. So.